Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome back to my least favorite place in the world. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of stuff happens here, but I don't really like making YouTube videos in my office anymore. But unfortunately, I was sick last week, so I didn't get any work done whatsoever. And now this week, I have a client video that's actually due tomorrow. So I figured we can kind of take this opportunity to show you guys some of the client footage that I work on and do a little bit of an updated color grading workflow video. So it's not going to be super entertaining. It's literally just going to be my Premiere Pro walking you guys through how I color grade my footage, but I'm also going to be doing it with some brand new LUTs. So as you guys know, I have a pretty popular Cine4 picture profile and some pretty popular LUTs that you guys like. And I haven't put out any new LUTs in a really long time. So I figured I finally would, now that I have a new computer and a new monitor and everything's calibrated, not to mention just my color grading process has gotten better. And whenever I get better, I feel like that's a good time for me to maybe release something new for you guys. So yeah, we'll show you guys my new workflow, how I'm using the new LUTs. And then at the very end of this video, you can see a little slideshow with a bunch of different clips that shows you guys all the LUTs. That way you can check them out and decide if you think that they are worth it for your color grading workflow. But yeah, those will be linked down in the description below. Otherwise, a super easy, just relaxed color grading video about how I color grade my footage for one of my snowboarding clients. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so color grading some client footage. Now, this particular video is actually about this guy right here. His name is Roland, and he is a super rad snowboard dude. He basically retired, moved up to Tahoe, and just wanted to snowboard every single day. So he literally snowboards every day. He knows everybody. And we just did this little piece about him, basically, where we interviewed him. We've got some VO, and we basically just kind of went through a day with him. But yeah, so this video will be out. I will put a link to that video down in the description below if you guys want to check it out. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. We'll just go ahead and color grade this first clip here. Now, as far as the LUTs go, these LUTs right here next to the @ symbol are the brand new LUTs that I just released today. So there's only 6 right now. By the time this video actually comes out, I'm hoping to have like 8 or 10. So there'll be a couple more. Now, if you want to see a preview of all of the LUTs, I'll put that at the end of the video with a bunch of different clips so that you guys can see how they work. But for today's video, I'm gonna go ahead and use this Constance LUT because it has been my favorite one so far. I've been using it for all of my new videos and my clients and things. It just works super well. I mean, as you can see, I just added it to this clip and it looks pretty good straight away. Now that we've got that on there, let's go ahead and kind of just show you guys my workflow a little bit. So I'm gonna bring these highlights down. I'm gonna bring these shadows down just a tiny bit. Whites are gonna come up. I like to almost always bring my whites up because studies show that people are more drawn to brighter images. If you didn't know, brighter photos on Instagram actually get more likes than darker photos. So same thing with videos. I wanna make them bright. I wanna make them pop and stand out. So I like to bring those whites up just to kind of, you know, help things pop a little bit. Now the LUTs do add quite a bit of saturation to your Cine4 footage, but I like to add just a little bit more, especially for my clients, because clients, sometimes they don't get it. You know, they like those bright, vibrant colors. They don't really like the filmic, like cinematic looks. So yeah, but even me personally, I like to just have really nice looking colors in my videos. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some saturation and some vibrance. Then I come into my curves and I'm gonna add these curve points here. So I always add these same exact points. One here in the middle, one on this cross, one on this cross, and one on that cross. That way I can kind of work with my shadows and a little bit more depth. And then I have my midtones and my highlights. So for right now, we'll go ahead and just leave that alone, make sure everything else looks good here. I'm actually gonna bring these shadows up just a little. So I like to just toggle before and after. A lot of people ask me, how do you do that? How do you do this before and after? You actually have to go into your keyboard shortcuts. So edit, keyboard shortcuts, and actually add it. I think it's called like toggle Lumetri color. So for me, I just use Control and Enter to just look at the before, and then you let go and it comes back. So yeah, that's just a question that everybody asks me whenever I do one of these color grading videos. So otherwise, I think this clip is actually looking pretty good. I'm gonna bring these midtones up just a little bit. You can see it just makes his jacket pop a little more. If I turn this off and I turn it back on, just kind of makes him stand out a little more and looks a lot better. But I mean, really, that didn't take any time at all. I'm gonna go ahead and say this clip is done, and let's just give it a quick playthrough. So yeah, there you go. Super good looking clip. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so this clip right here is probably one of my favorite clips in this video that's not like a snowboard action clip, and two reasons. Number one, because obviously this view is incredible, but also number two is because I know my client is going to love this shot. It shows the ski resort, it shows the epic mountains, and most importantly for them is it shows the epicness of the lake here. They really love that lake. It's a huge selling point for them. It's a big reason why people come up and ski at this resort is because you can't get this view anywhere else. So the reason I tell you guys that is because when I'm color grading, I want to make sure I'm taking that into account. I want to make sure this lake looks as good as possible. So I'm going to come back to my LUTs. I'm going to add that constants LUT again. Now, another question I get all the time is if I always use the same LUT, and I don't always use the same LUT, but I do always use the same LUT for each video. So for example, this video is going to always have the constants LUT no matter what. Every single clip I want to have constants because I want everything to match. So now let's go ahead and make this clip look as good as possible so that I know my client is going to like it and they're going to think, yeah, that lake looks super good. So again, highlights coming down, shadows coming down just to add a little bit of contrast, whites again coming up because we want that nice bright image that's going to stand out. And I'm gonna bring these blacks up a little bit. So again, saturation. Now on this clip, I'm gonna bring it up a little bit more than I typically would for like my personal taste, because again, I'm color grading for the client. I'm not color grading for myself. So I'm gonna add a lot of vibrance, a lot of saturation, because the biggest selling point is gonna be this lake right here. Then I'll go to my curves. Like I said, I always add the same curve points to every single one of my clips. And then I just play with them depending on what look I'm going for. So I also know this client kind of likes the faded blacks type look. So I don't want to overdo it, but I'm just going to bring these blacks up just a little and maybe bring this up just a tiny bit as well. So if you guys didn't see what that's doing there, keep an eye on these trees here. This is without it, and this is with it. It's just a little bit of a kind of subtle fade. And then otherwise, I'm probably pretty much good with this clip. I might bring these midtones just a tiny bit, and then maybe come in here and bring these highlights down just a smidgen. I don't want to overdo anything. I want it to be like as neutral and normal as possible. But yeah, this clip is looking pretty good. I know that they're gonna think the lake looks amazing, and ultimately, that's all I care about. So yeah, as long as they like it, I like it, and it works for me. Here's before and here is after. So now another thing I wanted to show you guys, whether it's color grading with the LUTs or without the LUTs, a really helpful thing that you can do to speed up your color grading workflow is actually copy colors from one clip to another clip. So what I'm gonna do is make sure this clip is selected, the one that I just finished. I'm gonna push Control C, and then I know I have a bunch of other clips that are similar to this one that I can just paste that color grade on, and I probably won't have to do anything at all. So let's go ahead and find one of those clips. All right, so this clip here, again, it's just an emphasis on the lake and how epic this view is, but it's more or less kind of the same. I'm pretty sure I shot it from the same run. So I'm just gonna click on this new clip, and I'm not gonna push Control V to paste. I'm actually going to right click and come up to paste attributes, which basically lets you paste different effects from one clip to another. So in this case, we only want the Lumetri color, but if we had other effects, maybe like sound design or whatever, you could just copy and paste those effects too. So a pretty helpful trick just to, you know, speed up your workflow. So we're gonna paste that, and you can see, boom, like right away, I literally just copied the same settings from one clip onto the other. Here's our before, here's our after, and yeah, it looks super good. I mean, this lake is popping. Like, this is gonna make people want to come ski at this resort, and as long as that happens, my job is pretty much done. So yeah, now a lot of times I'll actually copy and paste onto clips that aren't really the same. So let me see if I can find a clip. Okay, this clip, for example, it's not terrible. We still have the lake and stuff, but it's a totally different clip. You know, I've got the snowboarder and the jacket and different things like that. But let's just see what happens if I right click on this clip, go to paste attributes, and I paste the same color grade from the lake shots. What does it look like? Now, it's actually not that bad. Here's our before. Here's our after. Obviously the saturation is a little bit too high because I was trying to really make that lake stand out. The vibrance is a little too high, and maybe this kind of faded look is a little too much for this particular clip. But otherwise, I mean, it's not too bad. Here's before, here's after. It's giving us some nice color, some nice contrast. Now I do want to bring these highlights up, make this clip a little brighter, bring these shadows up just so it doesn't have too much contrast and too much darkness in there. But otherwise, I mean, pretty good. Maybe bring these whites up a little. And here's our before, Here's our after. It's looking pretty good. It might be slightly just like a tiny bit warm. I don't know if you guys can see that or if I'm just crazy, but yeah, so this is that clip now. And again, I just pasted it, didn't take too long at all. So here's before, here's after. So let's go ahead and play this one back so you guys can see what that looks like. Now this is shot on my A7 III with my Zhiyun Weebill S gimbal and the 16-35 f4 lens. And yeah, it's one of my favorites for like follow cam type shots like this. So yeah, for those of you guys that are wanting to do like ski videos or snowboard videos or whatever, 16-35 on a gimbal pretty much just kills it. The only hard thing is you got to try to get close. So moving on, what about a drone shot? Now, another question you guys ask me all the time is if I use the same LUTs for my drone that I do for my Sony camera. And the answer is yes. Now, they don't work quite as good. You can see if I add the LUT there, this is without the LUT, this is with the LUT. It still does a pretty good job, but because it's not Cine4, obviously it's going to look a little bit different. So we'll need to make some adjustments, but more or less it's gonna be pretty much the same that we always do. So I'm gonna bring these highlights way down. You get a lot more dynamic range with the Mavic 2 Pro because it's shooting 10-bit, which is really nice. You can kind of, you have a little more highlights to work with. So I'm gonna bring those way down. I'm gonna bring these whites up without trying to kill anything up in my bright areas here. So maybe just keep an eye on that, something like that. Add a lot of contrast with the shadows and probably quite a bit with the blacks as well. Now, with my drone footage, I do add quite a bit of saturation because it's actually significantly flatter than the Cine4 picture profiles. So I do add a lot of vibrance, a lot of saturation, and now we're looking a whole lot better. Here's before, here's after. As you can see, it's cloudy outside, it's overcast, so we want it to look a little bit dark and things like that. This was probably a little bit overexposed, to be honest. So now we're looking a little bit more natural. I'm gonna come into my curves, add my points like I always do, maybe add a tiny bit of that like filmic, faded type look, again, because I know this client kind of likes that, more trendy looking style, but I don't wanna overdo it. If I do something like this, they're gonna be like, that looks like crap, because it does. So yeah, just keep everything subtle, try not to overdo anything too much, but we'll do that. I like to bring up these midtones. It just kind of makes things pop a little more. Again, you don't want to overdo it. Just a tiny bit is going to go a long way. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. Otherwise, here's before, here's after. I would say that's a pretty good color grade, maybe a little too much contrast. So I'll come in, bring these shadows up, bring these blacks up just a little, and now we're looking a whole lot better. So this is kind of my closing shot that basically shows, the mountain and closes the whole thing out basically with the whole mountain that people are going to be skiing. So yeah, it's a decent closer and kind of wraps everything up nicely. I'm noticing it's a tiny bit like green, so I'm just adding a little bit of magenta, but otherwise this is that clip. And yeah, super easy, works well with the LUTs. And again, didn't really take any time at all. So yeah, that's pretty much my color grading process. I try to make things as simple as possible. I spend most of my time creating my LUTs. That way I don't have to spend so much time actually color grading because the LUTs are gonna do pretty much everything that I would do in the color grading process. So yeah, it just makes it easier to just slap the LUT on there, make a couple corrections, and know that my footage is going to look good. But now, like I said, I need to get this video done today. So I'm gonna finish color grading this and go ahead and close out this video. All right, so that is my new color grading workflow and the new LUTs and basically how I'm going to be color grading all of my footage pretty much from here on out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit more boring and not a whole lot of entertainment going on, but unfortunately, like I said, haven't really been feeling good. Had to get this video done. So I just haven't really had a chance to get outside and shoot a video, but next week we'll definitely get outside, do a little snowboarding or something, maybe talk about a new action camera that I've been holding on to. I've been meaning to make a video about it, then I got sick and I just haven't had time. So yeah, maybe we'll do that, who knows? But I hope you guys learned something from this video. I hope you decided to check out those LUTs because I do really think they're the best LUTs I've ever made. I know I always say that, but it's true. I continually get better and my LUTs continually get better. That's just the way it works. If I was getting worse, then I should probably just quit. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes you go back. But anyways, yeah, so that's all I had for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and if you have questions, send them to me on Instagram. But until next time, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.